Okay, so today we're going to begin a cycle of review. It's going to be 6 days, and the 6 days are going to alternate. They're going to be comparison, and they're going to alternate between a day of doing the problems, a day of constructed response, just like what we did with multiplication. So another chance to practice teach. Um, in this case, it's going to be the mixed problems first, but it's only going to be mixed problems on comparison. And we're also going to compare 3 different things. So first we're going to compare whole numbers, and then we will do constructed responses on that, right? And then we'll do decimals, and we'll do constructed responses on that. And then we'll do fractions, comparing fractions, and we'll do constructed responses on that. So that is the plan for the 6 days, okay? Now, one thing I want to point out to you even as we begin is something that I have shared with previous teachers, and if you want to know more about it, I can share with you, called the combined evidence tables. This tells us how the problems will be tested. I think it's really important to know what the PARCC says they're going to do. First of all of these have both short answer evidence statements, so the PARCC is going to test with a short answer, and a constructed response. So here we are, read and write multi-digit numbers using base 10 numerals, compare two multi-digit numbers. In the short answer, they tell us there will be a mixture of expanded form number names and base 10 numerals within one problem to really test for understanding. And in the constructed response, they tell us that they want us to reason about the place value system itself. And if you look, that is basically the theme for all of the comparisons. Here's comparing two fractions. They tell us that they're going to be short answers, and then they also tell us that there's going to be these constructed responses. One of the things you'll notice is for fractions, you have to correct someone else's reasoning. And then the same for decimals. They also want you to correct someone else's reasoning for the decimal constructed responses. You don't have to correct someone else's reasoning for the whole numbers. But they're tested kind of in both ways. The other thing is that in both cases it says compare two. Compare two multi-digit numbers. Compare two fractions. Compare two decimals. And so you're going to notice I made a decision to not teach ordering. That might be on the ANET. That is a great extension during intervention if you want to divide the class into 2 groups and one group works on ordering and one group works on comparison. That's fine. But I really wanted to think about how do we help kids pass the PARCC. And the way we're going to help kids pass the PARCC is by using these evidence tables and following what's written in the standards. And so this is what our plan. All right, so back to the PowerPoint. First lesson, compare two whole numbers in different forms. There's just really establishing what work looks like and practicing. And then every single one of these, especially, there's some sense of okay, there's a way I'm going to simplify this for you, or there's a tip I'm going to offer you that seems that we've taken for granted and is causing you trouble. So when we're asked to compare whole numbers, they will be written in 3 ways. Let's try 54,678. And you're going to quickly review, how you write these. So in expanded form, and let them tell you it's written like this. And excuse me, I don't have my proper pen. So, this is going to be shorthand, but I think you know how to write these in expanded form. How do we write it in verbal form? You're going to write it out. 54,000, all of that. Write out the whole thing in words. Using place value words. Now, this is the one that's giving us the most trouble, and you're going to slow them down right here and say, this is the one that's giving us the most trouble. Let me show you how they might do it. They're going to use place value, and they're just going to tell you the value in each place. So there's 1,000s, 10,000s, right? So this will be written 5 10,000s. Sorry, excuse my handwriting. It's not going to be good here. That says 5 10,000s. 4 thousands. You keep going. 600. This seems to be the one that's giving them the most trouble. So go ahead and 7 10s 8 ones. This seems to be the one that's giving the most trouble. And so say, how would we put this back together? We're gonna have to use a place value chart and really label those place values and make sure that we're paying attention. Because here's the thing. Let's say this is my number, 54,678. Instead of saying 5 10,000s and 4 1,000s, I could just say 54 1,000s. Or I could say 67 tens. Because if I put a 67 in the tens, it's just going to bump that 6 over. It's going to be the same thing as 607 tens, right? So there's a few ways to write this. 54 thousands. 67 hundreds, right? This one is the one that trips us up the most. Either way, to compare them, right, to get those problems right, we're going to need to put our numbers back together. And think about here, what kind of work, oops, oh, it erased. What kind of work do you think we would show? Ask the class, a place value chart. Great. And then you're just modeling that work, right? Let's use a place value chart. And I actually end up putting both numbers, you guys, on the same place value chart, because I think that that's a really good way. So teach them to draw the place value chart themselves on a blank scratch piece of paper, because that's what we're doing now, right? We're getting ready for the park. Blank scratch pieces of paper. Practice putting this in the place value chart and this on the place value chart. And then what is it we need? Where is it we need to look to decide what's bigger? We look in the biggest place because it has the biggest value. Or we look in the place to the left because it has the biggest value. And this idea, we look in the place to the left because it has the biggest value, that is like the big idea. And that's really important for two reasons. One, it gives you the way you're going to solve all these problems. It's different than what kind of work do I show, right? What are my steps? It's like, this is the work I show in the steps, but it's all because I understand this big idea. Again, I'm going to say it again, right? I look in the place to the left because it's the biggest. It has the biggest value. It's bigger than all the rest, right? So you need that, by the way, not just so that kids understand why they're doing this work and actually remember to do it and care to do it, but also because down the road, we're going to get to constructed responses. And the huge thing that I'm going to be talking about is that we want to explain the big place value idea that helped us know what to do. We don't want to just explain the steps. So if you're not bought into that and you're not selling that now, like, go ahead and look at video for 301 so you'll know. Anyway, so then we do another problem, right? These two problems at the end are written in tricky ways where here you're filling in the blank, right? Here you've got a few, just so you can again emphasize what kind of work we show. We're going to draw a place value chart for each of these, right? For each of these choices with this number and this number on the place value chart. This number and this number on the place value chart, right? Over here, I'm going to draw a place value chart for each of these. And so just really emphasizing that, right? But then always return to the main idea. Where do I look and why do I look right there? So that we can make sure that we are ready for our constructed responses. And that's it.